and are refreshed with your teas and coffees. We're lining up for the last session, and I had to look at the platform. I thought, well, maybe it's a good thing we had the women's session yesterday, because this is all men. Sorry about that. I need to give you an announcement, first of all, regarding tomorrow's program, for those who are in any doubt. Because of the lying in state of Her Majesty in the Parliament, we will not have a session from 12 to 2 at the Parliament. That means that the first and only session will be at the Royal Society of Arts, as you see, 5:45. So that's the program for tomorrow. We now have an illustrious panel, and I should introduce myself, shouldn't I? My name is David Fraser-Harris. I'm the Regional Secretary General for the Middle East and North Africa of UPF, and I've come all the way from Scotland to join you. We used to live in Syria, but 10 years ago I moved back to Scotland, but I keep my heart a passion for the Middle East, and I have to say I too was in tears during the film of Lebanon, which I know well. So hats off to Abdul Basit for pulling all this together, and thank you for coming a long, long way and giving up your time to join us here. We have a list of speakers. Actually, our first speaker on the program is not with us, but we will show you in place a video of one of our participants who is with us, and that is Dr. Billy Tang of Malaysia. So we have, before we get into our speakers, a short 5-minute video of the work of Dr. Billy Tang in Malaysia. Apologies to those of you who have it behind you. I'm sorry about that.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank you for inviting me to speak today in this summit. It is, in fact, an honor for me and the city of Dakhla in general to be part of this event. For those of you not knowing where the beautiful city of Dakhla is located, it is in the southern region of Morocco, a region full of opportunities that I will present to you in my speech today. Thanks to His Majesty, the King Mohammed VI, and his commitment to make the southern province an engine of regional and continental development. The city of Dakhla integrated a development program based on the new development model of the southern provinces, which covers all socio-economic, cultural, and environmental sectors. The aim is to provide the region with structuring projects in order to make the Pearl of the South a leading hub linking Morocco to its African extension and offering considerable investment opportunities for national, African, and foreign players. If Dakhla was attract mainly water sports enthusiasts, today it is a destination of the future in terms of sustainable development, industry, economic prosperity in general. A momentum that it wants, firstly, to its geographical position that gives it the role of pivot and platform for trade between Morocco and Europe via the Atlantic and the Mediterranean Ocean. On the one hand, and between Morocco and sub-Saharan Africa via Mauritania. On the other hand, then secondly, to the effective implementation of the new development model of the southern provinces. Since the announcement of this new development model in 2015, several development projects in terms of infrastructure, industry, and solidarity economy have been launched. This project includes the new port of Dakhla, a flagship project of new development model for southern provinces, a mega project of which the agreement was signed before His Majesty the King Mohammed VI in February 2016, is perfectly in line with the high guidelines of the sovereign, outlined in his speech on the occasion of the 45th anniversary of the Green March. This project, with an innovative design, will involve the development of a deep water port of the Atlantic coast of the region of Dakhla Wadi Dhab, following three components: a deep commercial port, a port to coastal and deep sea fish, and a port dedicated to the shipbuilding industry. The actual port is then to be converted to a marina and water sports port. Dakhla Smart City, a new vision for developing this beautiful region. The Dakhla Smart City project is inspired by and based on principal sustainable development. The project will contribute to speeding up the urbanization process in the region and provide next generation infrastructure to meet the needs of this city. The initiative will provide the city with proper infrastructure capable of attracting investments and encouraging economic activities in the whole region. The expressway Tiznit-Dakhla is a mega project of strategic importance, in fact, to enjoying construction for an expressway of more than 1,000 kilometers between Agadir and Dakhla via Al Ayoun. It will have a positive impact on human, economic, cultural exchange between the Kingdom of Morocco and countries such as Mauritania, Senegal, and Mali. The expansion of Dakhla Airport, the capacity of the Dakhla Airport will be increased to 1 million passengers annually after its expansion from 3,000 square meters to 10,000 square meters to meet a growing demand for this Saharan hub, which has become a popular destination for foreign tourists, diplomats, and businessmen. The Sia water desalination. The future Sia water desalination plant will be an answer to the water stress. It will have a daily capacity of 100,000 cubic meters at its commissioning. A water supply and distribution network covering a total length of about 115 kilometers will also be built for the irrigation of 5,000 hectares of plantation. The West Africa Logistic Zone, a project that aims to build an international trade zone in order to offer new horizons of logistic competitiveness to economic operators. The Zone 6 to massively flows to the African continent, sub-Saharan Africa in particular, creates a global logistic service and a complement to the existing international trade zone. Africa, it will allow Morocco to position itself at the heart of trade between West Africa, Europe, and China. Tourism and sports. Dakhla is well known among water sports lovers such as kite surfers, and over the years, the city has witnessed several international water sports competitions in its lagoon. On chasing the Dakhla's infrastructure through the municipality development program, taking into account the city context evolution, while reaffirming its strong ambitions. Several urban development programs have been initiated by the municipality with different partners. The programs concern the consolidation of basic infrastructure, drinking water, liquid sanitation, household waste management, public lighting, development of public squares, reuse of wastewater, local roads, as well as multiple other projects. In conclusion, you can see now how great of a potential of the city of Dakhla has in terms of development and all the opportunities that it offers for the whole southern region of Morocco, which proves how promising the future of this province region. Moreover, all these initiatives also help for the development of the human capital in the region by offering a better quality of life with better proximity for education and healthcare, better training, and by creating new jobs. Let me end my speech by thanking all of you for the precious time and wish a nice end of the day for you all.
Thank you very much, Bear, thank you for your words and for the hope and potential we see in that part of the world. I'm going to introduce now our next speaker, who is Jason Guberman. He's a social entrepreneur who specializes in building broad coalitions and melding intellectual and technical innovation. He's the executive director of both Digital Heritage Mapping. He created Diana Geomuseum and the American Sephardi Foundation. He has served in the Jewish World Congress and Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations. And I can see that he's been speaking all over the place to different places, including gatherings of the World Muslim League, also in Sri Lanka, in Morocco, and to many others. I'd like to ask you to welcome our next speaker, Jason Guberman.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, it is a pleasure to be here, and I especially want to thank Dr. Abdul Basit Said, who's not here but should be commended for his tremendous courage in giving me an award before hearing my remarks. I will try to put this liberty to good use. At the outset, I should explain also the significance. Why is the American Sephardi Federation speaking on a panel about morality and trade for peace? The special Sephardi significance is that Sephardic astronomers and artists, travelers and traders, publishers and printers, painters, scientists, singers have pioneered by breaking borders and barriers our cosmopolitan world. When we talk about the greater Sephardic community, we think specifically of many individuals, but also families, the Zilkas, the Dangors, the Sassoons, the Safras. If you'll indulge me for a moment, I'd like to make particular mention of my board president, David Dangor, who is known as the New York and Swedish Dangor, not to be confused with his cousin, who's the David Dangor of London. And David Dangor of London, his father, Naim, with a Muslim colleague, founded Coca-Cola in Iraq in 1950. And this was a tremendous achievement, which was celebrated at the centenary of Coca-Cola. But what else happened in 1950? The Jews were denationalized. After 2,500 years of living in Babylon, Naim ended up, as the rest of the Iraqi Jewish community, going into exile. He chose the United Kingdom as his home. He contributed mightily in business and philanthropy and became the oldest person to be knighted by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of blessed memory. Imagine if he had been able to stay in Iraq, what he could have done. The Sephardic contributions are not only practical, but they're also theoretical. Another Sephardic Brit, David Ricardo, taught us the theory of competitive advantage, that even adversaries who were making the same product would benefit from trade. While he was speaking specifically in an economic sense, there's also, this was in the milieu of the Enlightenment, when there was thought to be a connection between economic and political freedom. Since Her Majesty the Queen pardoned the American founders during her visit from 1976, I'll say in particular Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington asserted that a free people or a moral people needed morality as a basis for having and building a free society. In modern times, Milton Friedman, who was Jewish but not Sephardi, got a lot of criticism because he traveled all over the world and he advised many governments that people took issue with. He visited the CCP and met with their leadership. He visited the USSR. In the 1990s, at that great time of triumphalism, there was even a theory of no countries fighting with each other. No countries would fight with each other if they had McDonald's. Well, there was a McDonald's in Moscow, and there was a McDonald's in Kiev. So what went wrong? George Steiner taught us that there is not, it's mistaken to think of a correlation between moral and material progress. There isn't a carryover from civilization to civility, from humanism to the humane. In the Jewish tradition, in many other traditions that rely on this, Kohelet or Ecclesiastes teaches us that there is a season for everything under the sun, including, tragically, a time for war and a time for peace. Where does that leave us now? Well, peace or trade are not unqualified goods. And everyone here, that may sound controversial, but everyone here, I'm sure, will agree with me if I mention a peace treaty. And everyone will say, how could a peace treaty be a bad thing? But we are taught on the other side of the pond that the Versailles Treaty was a horrible agreement, that the victors were rather beastly to the Germans in that circumstance. The Versailles Peace Treaty was a horrible treaty, but not for that reason, contrary to Mr. Keynes. Before he died bravely in battle, Etienne Monteux, who was a French economist, who before dying in battle, he was able to publish a refutation called The Carthaginian Peace, or the economic consequences of Mr. Keynes. The Germans had ample resources to pay the reparations. We know this because they piled more money than that into their rearmament. So where does that leave us today? Today we have benefited and we have expanded trade in unimaginable ways, and millions of people around the world, including some of those countries in which Milton Friedman visited, have been lifted out of poverty. And that is a tremendous thing to celebrate. But at the same time, this trade has come with costs. The costs have been, for instance, Russian revanchilism. The costs have been enemies that are stronger than they ever have been before. And within our societies, our free societies, we have a class of people that are committed to trade at any cost, just like those who followed Mr. Keynes were committed to peace at any cost in the 1930s. Peace at any cost led to unimaginable horror and bloodshed and the worst world war. Trade at any cost could similarly be destructive. So what I would suggest is that we look to an example from more recent history. In the 1970s, when there was a push for détente between the US and the Soviet Union, there was a courageous movement to link trade, and not just trade, there was always trade between the US and Soviet Union, but most favored nation status. That's what the USSR wanted, to link that status to a fundamental human right, which is the right of emigration. The thinking being that whatever type of government you have, if the people are free to leave, that government will in some sense be held accountable. And at the time that this was being discussed, millions of Soviet Jews wanted to leave the Soviet Union and were not allowed to do so. The Nixon administration was adamantly against this. The people at the time, and some of these arguments will sound very familiar, were alleging that such a linkage would lead to world war. Such a linkage would be horribly destructive. Nevertheless, Senator Harry Scoop Jackson and Representative Vanik persevered and were able to pass the amendment to the trade agreement and ensured that the Soviet Union would be accountable to its people. This is the kind of mechanism that we need to think about now to ensure that we have unfettered trade with those who are our allies, and that those who are traitors to our common humanity pay the consequences of their actions. So there is a time for trade. Now is the time for trade to peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Jason Huberman. Forgive me while I go through my notes here. Our next speaker comes from India. You've already heard him. He spoke to us yesterday. So you've had the introduction, but I'll give you a little bit here. Padma Bhushan, Dr. Anil Kohli from India is a dental surgeon, medical administration, and former president of the Dental Council of India. And we hear that he received twice from the government of India highest awards, the fourth highest and the third highest awards given by that nation. I won't read through everything again because you heard some yesterday. Please let's welcome Padma Bhushan.
Thank you, sir. His Excellency Anthony, ma'am, former minister from the British Parliament, distinguished guest, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to have the opportunity to address such an august gathering. We are in the last session, and I'll be talking little different, little away from the talk, because yesterday they didn't allow me to speak my heart out. So he has already told you, so you have to bear with me. I'll take it why this conference of Trilateral Global Summit. I'll talk about that. The theme of the Global Summit is to promote integration of the global economy and business as a pathway for the peace. It is a way towards the peace. This summit is a platform that appreciates and recognizes the achievement of humanitarians, country leaders, investors, and influences from different fields across the world. It provides a platform wherein they can demonstrate their ideas to strengthen global ties for investment, thus binding collaborations to restore the economic trade and international trade, especially at the time of global pandemic. This summit aims to capitalize on the global opportunities like finding new business partners and is significant for the bilateral relations between countries as networking is a major key to build a collaborative culture. Under the leadership of His Excellency Anthony, WHD is celebrating to pay tribute to the humanitarian workers killed and injured in the course of their work and to honor all aid and health workers who continue despite the odds to provide life-saving support and protection to the people most in need. WHD is an international NGO founded by Dr. Abdul Basit Said, a brother to me, a global peace activist in London. Dr. Abdul aims in promoting cultural appreciation and participation of society to guarantee peace and harmony. UK has officially announced him as the Ambassador for Peace and has been titled as a trustee and a board of director for his successful involvement in promotion of peace and involvement in eradication of radicalization and violence in UK and other parts of the world. He is the vice president of Space Kid India, an organization for creating young scientists for the nation. Now coming to the point, we had 4 sessions. One was Trade for Peace, one was Women Leader, then we had Global Influence, and right now we are having Humanity and Morality. So I'll talk 2 lines on the humanity, on morality. We had the wonderful sessions where we heard yesterday Kalpana from scratch to where she reached. Then we heard Sandeep, what he talked about, how things can work. And then we heard Daisy, and that was very emotional, and it touched my heart. And these are the people, so I stand nowhere as far as they are concerned, but still, I'll put my point. Now the thing comes of this session we call as humanity for morality. Now humans have a moral sense because of their biological makeup determines the presence of three necessary conditions of ethical behavior. Number 1, the ability to anticipate the consequences of our own actions. Number 2, the ability to make value judgment. Number 3, the ability to choose between alternative course of action. That is what I consider moral sense. Coming to the morality. Morality differs from person to person according to time, place, situation, and coincidence. But where humanity finds its expression at any times in history or in any place is always been the same. If we know how to pierce a person deep enough to touch this humanity, each one of us will do the things the same way. The ability to make value judgment. So that is what morality, what is that we talk about the humanity. Now, why I said I'll be talking something, this I talked about the subject, what we are discussing today, what we have discussed before, what we heard the people and all. Now, being a medical person, I'll be talking to you little different from the business and other thing. It is more of a, which touches everyone. All of us know we have gone through 2 years of pandemic of COVID, and you will be surprised, we lost 6.5 million people all over the world during this pandemic, which brought the importance of human health to the common person, to the country, and to any nation. Respected members, the age old saying is health is wealth is true, as it can be, especially during the COVID pandemic. COVID taught us the health is the most important thing. It made us realize importance of resilient and strong public health system. Why I'm saying the strong public health system, although the western part, Europe, America, and developed countries and ill-developed countries, everyone has faced the same, and it has shown how system can break. How the things were in New York, how were the things in India, how were the things in other part of the world, we have all seen, and it has taught us a lesson. We have to understand how important is the health for every one of us and how we have to deal with it for the future. COVID-19 has also ensured that now we need to focus on accelerating action relating to integration of public health surveillance. And let me tell you, even today after 2 years, still people are struggling to provide the good medical help. I was reading in one of the article other day in Europe for an appointment, it was saying 123 days wait. My daughter lives in Washington, so I know they send you to the emergency. And to get to an specialist appointment is a long wait. So we need, and I think this, I'll request Abdul to address this part also in his future endeavors. Health is like money in a way that we never truly realize its importance until we lose it. Recently, we had two cases I'll share with you. One was a very big, you must have read in the newspaper, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. He was a very big broker in the share market, and he was a multi-billionaire amount of money he made, but he ignored his health. And he realized he was not even 62. His kidney failed and the thing failed. All money could not save him. The other person was working for Tata, and he was running all over, and he lost his life very young, not even 60, in a road accident. So these things are eye-opener for us, how we should deal with the life and how should we deal with the things in life. So we should not only run after the money. There are other things we have to look also. lot of people in today's world are neglecting their health to gain the wealth. It will not be exaggerating if we say it becomes the root cause of so many affections in the body. Sorry, I am taking little time, but I want to speak out the things with you. And my only question to all these people is what for? When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth become useless. Instead of just focusing on the health, it is the time we focus on our well-being in order to live a more blissful and meaningful life. Eat clean, drink healthy, stay active and be healthy. Regular exercise. Staying active, strengthening the heart and improvement blood circulation. It is not like a miracle cure or the best preventive measure one can take for a disease-free life. Sleep is another part because we are so all busy and we all neglect and we feel we don't have enough sleep. Sleep is another neglected aspect of daily life in today's fast world. Sleep is essential for proper functioning of each and every process happening in our body. A good sleep enables us to make better decisions, increases our immunity, results in better metabolism, and most importantly, decreases the risk of diseases. An unhealthy body harbors not only diseases but also poor mental attitude, gripping individuals in sadness and imprisoning themselves in the cocoon of and dreadful condition. A healthy body ensures a healthy mind, ensuring a sense of well-being, inner sense enabling us to cope up with the problem and pushing us to do better. Noble friends, I shall be failing on my duty if I do not mention that our divine master has sent us with some decrees, commands, and altruistic missions. What is the use of this perishable body if it is not put to use for benefit of the mankind? We all should love this slogan that service to humanity is service to God, and no service is greater than the service to humanity. As a medical professional, I inspire and motivate all the doctors of the world to join our hands together and think about the poor and helpless who are looking towards us with expected eyes. Expected eyes. We should serve them with our spiritual love and care to make our one Lord happy. By doing so, God will restore our fortunes and have compassion for us. By serving the underprivileged class of people, the Almighty will keep us more prosperous and numerous. Friends, every king was once a crying baby, and every great building was once a map. It is important where we are today, but where we will reach tomorrow is important. Destiny is not created by the shoes we wear, but the step we take. Always move forward, fill philanthropic missions to have the blessing of the deprived section of the society to ensure happiness to the next. Thank you very much. Thank you for the patient listening. And today they didn't interrupt me and they gave me enough time. Thank you, sir. Grateful.
Thank you very much. Abdul Basit, you did a good job bringing us a doctor. We got the kind of advice we need. And fortunately, nobody in the room obeyed it. Nobody took the very healthy sleep that we need. You're all awake, so I'm happy to see that. Abdul Basit Sayed, you're a magician, bringing all these wonderful people together. I have to say, Shailendra, I'm British. I knew nothing about the livery until I listened to you today. I looked it up on the internet beforehand, and I still didn't understand until you explained it. So it's very valuable for me, and thank you for what you said to us. We have one speaker who's not on your program. He told me I'm the surprise speaker. So here he is. Adiv Baruch is a leader in the high-tech industry for the last 35 years, acting as chairman of the Innovation and Technology Institute in Israel, chairman of the El Al Healthcare Solutions, ILAD Systems, and a lot of other ones. He's also leading the Young Enterprise and Entrepreneurs Organization and has been actively involved in leading the global innovation in Israel. It's a long introduction, but I'm actually going to skip it and let him tell us himself anything else. Please welcome Adiv Baruch, leader in the high-tech industry.
Well, I think I should retire after this introduction, right? That's so. Good evening. I think I have the biggest challenge, right? To speak in front of you after such a long day. Everyone's tired. You heard it all. But only Dr. Abdul Bassem, my friend, he can only be the one who'll get me on after Shabbat, get me here, change my whole schedule. Flying in when we're actually today and tomorrow celebrating now 2 years for the Abraham Accord peace agreement. But I'll start and I'll be very informal and I'll be very precise at this time so you can all wake up. So first and foremost, dear sisters and brothers, let's put all the titles aside. Because we all share the same spark that we want to do good to the world. And I think bringing those type of people with your experience together, to be here, to share your experience, and to show that there is still amazing energy in this world that is willing to go and continuously change it, as well as say, how do we fight darkness? Because when we see terror all over the world, it's always the extremists. They're the minorities who are driving all of us crazy. So how do we fight darkness? Do you know? Very simple. Very simple. We just turn on the light. Right? We turn on the light, and here we are. The energy that we bring will make the difference. And I want to share with you, you started with the COVID-19. We're in 2020. January 2020, other in China, and I've been active in China for 25 years. All of a sudden, we have this epidemic attacking the world. But what does the COVID have proven us? It has proven that, A, we're all equal. It does not differentiate between colors, gender, religious, education, wealth. No, it does not differentiate. And second of all, in order to really fight such a mega attack, we have to unite forces. No country in the world could have fought it on its own. It's about sharing the information in a very rapid way. And I come from the space of digital health. And when we build our EMR system that really gets your medical record, and all of a sudden there is one country in the world, we have 85% of the hospitals are deployed with the same systems. So we can share the same information in real time, manage the epidemic, and try to control it. And that's why I believe Pfizer at that time chose Israel as an island country to be the guinea pigs of the world, because we're all vaccinated as a country. Now, people don't know that because there's always the perception about Israel that it's a country of war. And you know what? Our role and the mission that I took upon myself is to be a role model, how we can really change. As we always say, we are the most beautiful house in the worst neighborhood, right? That's how you feel about Lebanon? The most beautiful house in the worst neighborhood. So now the Abraham Accord actually is giving us, our generation, to take the torch and to try to change the whole neighborhood. And how do we change the whole neighborhood? Because as you all mentioned in different ways and different speeches, but the fundamental drives that will drive the whole region differently are not the politicians. It's above any administration, it's above any government. It's actually the private sector who is sustainable, has long-term vision, that can drive the economy, and the whole Abraham Accord, it's what we call its economy of peace. An economy of peace is the same mission that my friend Abdul is running. It's a trade for peace. But why do we have to trade for peace? Why do we have to drive peace where peace should be our fundamental? The terror should be the extreme, the minority. Peace, thou shalt love his friend as you love yourself. We have to share our education. A fundamental economy and driving peace together has two major pillars. The first one, it's also in the Judaism, it's education. And you see it in India, you see in other culture. Parents, even if you don't have the wealth, you will save the money and you will focus on your children's education, even if you don't have the wealth. The second part, we talk about education, it's about respect. Once we can build a generation that will respect the others, no matter what religion you're coming from, no matter what your background, what your color, as COVID proven that we're all equal, then we can start making the changes. Now, as we see the evolution of the digitalization and the internet, all of a sudden you realize that kids all over the world are sharing the same brand, sharing the same information. They're actually growing in this digital space with a lot of commonalities. But what are they losing? They're losing the human contact. Because now they're behind the screens in a virtual digital world, but they're losing the set of skills that we had. The feel, the touch, to look in the white of the eyes, to see who's telling you the lies, who's telling you the truth, who is there for you, who is trying to burn you. They're losing that touch, and we're still humanoids. I remember having a session with Jack Ma when we realized that most of the education system in the world today are not preparing the future generation for the skill set, because the skill set is changing all the time in an evolution that we've not been prepared to. And when we're building a company that is all about autonomous cars, then in the back of my mind, my concern, this is the morality that we're talking about, and we have autonomous car, autonomous taxis. That means that millions of taxi drivers are going to lose their job. And they will have to find a new skill set. And one day when I when I flew to New York, went to visit a friend who has a restaurant, and he was so proud to show me that now he has a tablet. You can sit on the table, you can order your meal, you don't need waitress. And I said, are you crazy? You know that now we have millions of students who actually are able to pay their education fees through working as waitress and so forth, and we're taking it away from them. So where is the border between the evolution of technology and still keeping us as humans, where we know and we understand, I'm so much involved in it, that every job that has repetition will be replaced by a robot. Sooner or later, every job that has repetition will be replaced by a robot. So where's the morality? Where is the economy behind it? And how does the education systems are preparing you now for the real world? That's why I own today in Israel the Institute of Innovation Technology. I'm the chairman of the Future Entrepreneurs for the State of Israel, where we actually, in 6th grade and 7th grade every year, we're going to the schools and we build with the school, the companies, and we educate the kids for entrepreneurship, digital economy, and so forth, and it changes the family skill set. And the last part, we spoke about education, we spoke about respect, and what do we have to really do when we talk about morality in the economy? Is to make sure that every country that we represent, every country we're involved, we have to make sure that the future generation we'll have jobs. And it's all about job creation. And as the mayor of Doha, and you have the tourist, your main challenge is job creation, to make sure the younger generation doesn't fled to other countries. They keep their loyalty to where they were born and continuously feed the system. And Corona has done one more good thing to us. And I speak about it all over the world. As we've seen the disruptiveness in the logistical systems around the world, we've seen how the prices went extremely high because there were concentration of manufacturing. And those concentration of manufacturing, all of a sudden there was shortage of supply, the oil price going up, you have to ship the product, disruptive of the logistical systems. That means that every country, like Israel, took it and carved upon its strategy to be self-sustained, due to many reasons for that. We've carved upon ourselves that our main asset, since we don't have any natural asset, is our human capital. So we invested in education to continue building human capital. We became the second largest hub of innovation to the world. And I was privileged as an industry leader to be nominated in 2017 to also be the chairman of the Israeli Export and all the economic relationship for the state of Israel, as the technology became our #1 export. And I led the export from $104 billion in 2017 to $136 billion at the end of 2021, in spite of COVID, in spite of all the lockdowns, and became the #1 country per capita exporting, because our country is too small, 10 million people. No startup or company is incepted for the local market. We think global. And the last part about morality. I present the UN when we celebrated 70 years for the state of Israel. We presented 70 innovations that came out from Israel and changed the world. And you know that all the mobile chipsets, the Motorola, was designed and developed in Israel. All the Intel chipset from Pentium 4 were designed and developed in Israel. Cherry Tomato was designed and developed in Israel. The CAM, everything that has to do with cancer technology and so forth. But the morality is that we are sharing that information and that knowledge with the world under one theme. That has been all my life the theme that had led me to do good to the world. So therefore, I'm calling upon all my brothers and sisters. I'm here for you, and I know that you're here for me. And everything that I've done, all of my experience, all of my network, I won't share, but you can Google it. It's for you. It's there available for you. And we can choose any country. And if we choose that Lebanon will be an example country, let's go for it. Because the only way, just like the COVID, the only way to make the changes is to unite forces. So I want to thank you for that. I hope I kept you away on the last call. I was trying to be on time for 7 p.m., but everything glitched around. So my brother, Dr. Abdul, thank you very much for organizing and bringing all those great people around. And let's continue to inspire the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sadiq Baruch. Unite. The only way. We're at the end, and I think I should ask Dr. Abdul Basit to come, and he's saying no, but I don't know what to do. I thought we'd finished. Okay, it's up to you. Question and answer. All your questions. Don't all speak at once. But I'm sure you've got lots of questions bubbling in there. Yes, we have one over there. Rahma, the mic. It's okay now?
Yeah. Hello. I don't know who I'm going to target with the question, but maybe whoever is able to answer, that would be welcome. Because I'd like to wrap up about Morocco, Israel, the Jewish community, India, Lebanon. And it rang a bell for me because in ancient times, the Lebanese were very well known for being commerciant and in the trade. And so do the Jewish community in Morocco. And I remember that somebody that is important in Morocco said that if we do not include the Jewish community as part of the constitution, which is happening, and I think it's the only Arabic and African country that included the Jewish community in its constitution, there would be no trade because of the successful stories of the Jewish community in Morocco. So do you think this kind of inclusion in constitution is beneficial to the trade and peace? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. And you're absolutely right. The Middle East and North Africa were at their most peaceful and prosperous when cities like Beirut and Aleppo and Baghdad were cosmopolitan and had Christians and Jews and people of all minorities there as bustling centers of innovation. So I think that's incredibly important. And I'll defer to the mayor, but having been to Dakhla and to Morocco many times, I would just say that Morocco is a tremendous example that His Majesty King Mohammed VI has really understood something that many other people have missed, which is that you cannot progress in society if you have anti-Semitism, if you have hatred. And he has worked very, very hard to eliminate this. And I like to give the example of the street signs in Marrakesh, which the king noticed were different than he remembered from his childhood on a visit a few years ago. And so they actually restored them. And so the street signs now, there's the Talmud Torah Way on a street that no longer has a Talmud Torah, a Jewish school. So what's the significance of this? Street signs tell you where you are, but they also tell you where you want to go. And so Morocco wants to persevere and preserve and perpetuate its Jewish heritage as essential to its future.
If I may, I'd like to add to the comment. Because in 2020, go on Google and search prayer for the health of the world. I personally organized the prayer in Jerusalem. The two chief rabbi, the Sfardim and Ashkenaz, that never prayed together. The two leading imam, the two leading Christian leaders in Israel, Sheikh Tarif from the Druze, all prayed the same prayer to the world, and even the Pope wrote me a personal note, I have on the phone, that he will join the same prayer, and we had 2 billion people watching it. And if you look at the history, the Muslim and the Jews always were living in peace. And when they were living in peace, that region prospered. Look at the history of Morocco, Iran, any country, Lebanon, the financial segment of Lebanon. Look at all the Jewish families that fled from Lebanon into Panama and built their financial. It was all in Beirut. And so is Iraq, and so is other country. We share the same commonalities, we have the same values. The minorities who are taking control in spite of everything under the umbrella of religious like that or other, but it's not. That's not the basic of Muslims. That's not the basic of Christianity. Each one of us can freely choose his religion, or we're born into it. We don't even have a choice, we're born into it. But it's all gone by uniting forces. And when we unite forces, we see the prosperity.
I'm just checking if the mayor wants to add anything, but he looks happy. Do we have any more questions? You must be hungry. I think we have some awards, am I right, Dr. Abdul Basit? Thank you again very much to all of our speakers. A big round of applause for these wonderful speakers. And please come on down. Should I blame the picture?
Wait, let's hold hands. Let's hold hands. Let's unite forces. Come on. Hold hands. You're the tallest. Yeah.
Who's announcing? Okay, I'll do it. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to us to present the award for global humanitarians who have been active in the field. And today's honors are going to be limited to people who have been showing courage and going towards the destiny of peace. So we have able-bodied people who have joined the Courage mission to promote the idea of humanity and peace. So I have from Malaysia, Malaysian Armed Forces Indian Veterans Association, who have been giving their service to the community for n number of years in order to promote the idea of serving for the community. So I request the Honorable Excellencies to come to the front of the stage so we can present the honors to the Malaysian Armed Forces Indian Veterans Association. You can come for the photograph. A little bit further. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Congratulations. These are exceptional individuals or the servants of people. So we are truly honored to have you, sir.
Okay, welcome, sir. Can
So-
we have, with your permission, like 30 seconds, can we have a silent for 30 seconds for all the armed forces people who have sacrificed their life? Is it possible? Yes. Can we stand up, please? Yes. Up. Down. Thank you very much.
The next on the list is Honorable Ergab Hermatullah, who came from Morocco and who spoke on our last session. He's been a mayor of the Dakhla region in Morocco, and he's trying to promote the idea of trade for peace within the region. I believe the thoughts of actions will be perceived, otherwise we are coming at the back of you. Please. Next on the line, we had a very interesting speaker who actually emotionally moved our hearts earlier. I believe each and every one of you had to understand what it means to come to another country as a refugee. What kind of actions and courses you do take on your life, and what kind of impact that would create when you grow. And this man perceived to be somebody who is someone to be a great, great, great achiever. I am proud to call him my brother, who have achieved so much for this country and the world, yet he is humble, and no matter what it is, he always remember his roots. So I'm proud to welcome my brother Shailendra Umbradia. I proudly call Shai, please.
These is for all the people that helped me with my journey, actually, not for me. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Despite the royal protocol, thank you again, brother. Thank you. So next online, we have Rohan Balakrishna Roy from India, and he is the son-in-law of Brigadier Padma Bhushan Dr. Anil Kohli, and he is supporting him on his missions to promote the idea. Can we have Rohan Balakrishna Roy, please? The next one we have is again from Morocco, the land of opportunity, I would call it. Because Morocco, I've been to the Western Sahara region, and I have personally experienced the people's welcome, warm welcome. And what kind of opportunity the world has in Morocco is I recommend each and every one of you to travel to Morocco, especially the Western Sahara region, Dakhla, Lyon. And my friend Hussam, he was kind enough to take me, drive me everywhere, and give me a 5-star service in every part of Morocco. And I'm privileged. I am privileged to visit the places which has been prohibited. But he took me with a special government permissions, and I've been given the best of with the United Nations. So thank you again, Hussam. And can I call upon Munir Houri, please? And finally, we have a good Samaritan who is willing to help anyone and everyone as long as there is something called as the word HELP. If you shout the word, he's there. He is a person, I would say, we can call him as a normal driver, or we can call him as someone who is willing to drive for love and passion and compassion. So we have him all the way. I do think he didn't drive here, but but he has got his own chauffeur service, and he has got more than 200 of his chauffeur service in special admissions for the embassies around the world, especially Portugal and Spain. And he's a family member, I would say, as a brotherhood. So he's, please welcome, I'll welcome Samuel Silva to the stage to receive the Good Samaritan Award. So please don't sound help. You'll be there. Yeah. So, Excellencies, leaders, brothers and sisters, thank you everyone. And before I finally finish, I would say somebody who spoke from her heart, and she spoke well, courageous, and with all the bravery her mother has given her. And I do think as a proud mother, she deserves to give the vote of thanks for each and every one of you today, because that's not a vote of thanks of a normal person. She's a born leader. We need to have leaders like this. And I always say this word, I'm a strong man because a strong woman raised me. And we have a strong woman who is giving you the vote of thanks today. Carry it with courage, passion, strength, because trust me, she is going to rock Lebanon. Please.
I don't know if you can see me blushing right now. It's a great honour to be standing here and to be given the opportunity to give the vote of thanks. You know, when you look at the people that have spoken today, the people that have spoken yesterday, the people in this audience, like I said earlier, it's awe-inspiring. It's sometimes a little bit intimidating to hear what you've done, what you've achieved, where you're sitting. But what I've seen today, what I've heard from distinguished speakers from all areas of industry, is the commonality that we speak about, the humanity, the hand in hand. This is so powerful for me to be amongst a tribe of people who are so committed to peace, who are so committed to understanding that we are equal, that there is no difference, and that in our equality, in our commonality, we can drive a future for our world, not only our country and our people, but our world, that can fight evil, that can bring us out of darkness, and we just have to turn on the light. And this, honestly, I just used to dream, you know, why aren't there more people that have this passion for peace and passion for looking at the world and not allowing those minorities that, you know, everyone deserves their right, but the minorities are driving our narrative, they're driving our policies, and they're driving our countries into ruin, not into peace and not into prosperity. Because it's the old Artsu, divide and conquer. Minorities, everyone has a place, as we all heard today, with all the speakers coming from all different cultures, all different industry and backgrounds and education, but we're all speaking the same way. So I think that this organisation, the World Humanitarian Drive, the work of Dr. Abdul Basit, the work of the Peace Federation, you all every single one of you, the way you spoke yesterday, Your Excellencies, both of you. We need to build this connection, this power more strongly. And as other people have said, put it into action. Because we speak about it, but we need a strategy. We need a purpose. And there's so many people with such tremendous ability and capability and talent, but also access and influence all over the world. I just can't believe the amount of people here that are so committed to peace. And I give this vote of thanks to all of you, to this organisation, to you, Dr. Abdul Basit. You are amazing. You are young, you're spirited, you believe in humanity, in a ideological humanity, which we all need to remember. And we need to do something more powerfully together and be consistent, because as Martin Luther King Jr. told us, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But only as long as we remain steadfast to its completion. We can't stop and start. We have to follow it through all the way. And that's what's being called upon us today and in this conference. And one more quote I love is Bishop Desmond Tutu. We are all humanitarians. We're all helping people. But he said, it is our moral duty to pull people out of the river. But it is also our duty to turn our head upstream every now and then and see who's throwing them back in. And I add to that, and make them accountable. We must not let those people get away with what they're doing to our people. So I leave you on that note. I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today, and I hope we have a tremendous day tomorrow. We'll finish well. Thank you. Thank you.
I have one surprise person to call up to offer something that they would like to offer. We're going to ask Padma Shri Kalpana Saroj, the original Slumdog Millionaire, and she has something she wants to present. So please welcome her up at this time.
पर मेरी हिंदी है, फिर आपको बताना पड़ेगा। मैं आप सभी को कहना चाहती हूँ कि डॉक्टर बासित, अब्दुल बासित ने बहुत सुंदर प्रोग्राम किया है, तो इसके लिए मैं उनको सम्मानित करना चाहती हूँ। तो मैं सम्मान करना चाहती हूँ, तो प्लीज़ आप भी देखें, और वो जब स्वीकार करेंगे तो मुझे बड़ी खुशी होगी। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed by the program which Abdul Basit has organized in these 2 days, and I'm more than happy to present this piece of whatever it is, because still hidden, and she wants to hand over this to Abdul as a gesture of goodwill.
नहीं, छाड़ देते हैं उसको, ठीक है। और ये मेरी बेटी की कंपनी की ऑर्गेनिक अगरबत्ती है। आपको इसके लिए काम आ जाएगी।
A product which has been manufactured by her daughter's company.
इसी में डाल दीजिए ताकि आपको पकड़ने में आसान रहे।
ये थैंक जो है हम दोनों की तरफ से नहीं, आप सबकी तरफ से।
यस।
She says that I'm presenting this on behalf of the complete group who's present here. This is from everyone's side.
Dear Excellencies, I think we have already had the vote of thanks, and then it was a surprise gift, believe me. So that brings to the end of today's conclusion, and I insist again, there is no parliament session due to Queen's laying in state. So the session is going to be at the Royal Society of Arts at 6 p.m. The session is going to be at the Royal Society of Arts at 6 p.m. The session is going to be at the Royal Society of Arts at 6 p.m. I said it 3 times, all right? If still people are going to call me, message me,